Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Executive Vice President, Operating Systems Group, Terry Myerson.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Build 2014. You know, just yesterday I was looking online, I looked at Wikipedia, and I realized that it was 22 years ago that right here in Moscone Center, we had our first Microsoft Developers Conference. This is just an amazing tradition that we're all part of here today. And so I asked myself, what is the right way to kick off this conference? You know, I considered coming out chanting, developers, developers, developers. For those of you that know me, I would kind of like to do something like that, but it's been done. So then I considered coming out dressed like Scott Guthrie. But red's just not my color. So then I just decided to just be simple and straight and say, what motivates me and what motivates everyone you're going to hear from today and everyone else that works in the platform teams at Microsoft or contributes to the Microsoft platform is making your creativity come to life. Every day we're thinking, how are we going to enable our developers to build the richest applications, to reach their customers in every corner of the globe, whether they're at home or at work or in their garage. So who's here with us today? I mean, this is just an incredibly impressive and diverse group. We look at the surveys you filled out on registration, and we know that some of the most impressive line of business applications have been built by the people in this room. Some of the most entertaining and fun games have been built by people in this room. Some of the most powerful web services on the internet are represented here, and everything in between. And online, we're expecting viewers from over 170 countries to join us. And something that I think that is just incredibly cool, using our public translation APIs, everything we say on stage here today is going to be translated in real time for that online audience. So I think that's pretty slick. Now, without further ado, I figure we should just get started. So let's kick off Build 2014.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Corporate Vice President, Operating Systems Group, Joe Belfiore.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Build. We're obviously very excited to have you here in San Francisco. And just as the video said, your fans are waiting. And we weren't kidding about that. We think these are your fans because really it's all of you that build the value and create a ton of what's superb about the Windows ecosystem. So I'm Joe Belfiore. I'm now running a group for PC, tablet, and phone within our operating systems team. And it's a great honor for me to be here and spend about the next 50 minutes with you talking about some major updates for Windows. In fact, today we're announcing two things: Windows Phone 8.1 and our Windows 8.1 update. So I'm going to start out by taking you through Windows Phone 8.1. With Windows Phone, we set out to create an experience that's inspired by people. An experience that gets you closer to the things and people that matter most in your life, one that's a little bit less like technology and a lot more about you. And that's why we believe that Windows Phone is the world's most personal smartphone. Now, with Windows Phone 8.1, this story gets a lot better. And that's through not just a bunch of the software work that we've done, but also the wider range of hardware that you're going to see showing up with Windows Phone 8.1. At Mobile World Congress, we announced a range of new hardware partners that were all working on new phones. And in fact, today, we're announcing 2 additional partners, Micromax and Prestigio. Now, these companies are building phones working with Qualcomm and with us through our reference design program, which is a lot of work that we've done in conjunction with Qualcomm to make it way easier and less expensive for companies to bring up new Windows Phone devices. And at Mobile World Congress, we talked about the partners that were working on this, but we didn't show any phones. And so I thought today we would bring a couple of new phones on stage here. So what I have here, in my left hand, Micromax, and in my right hand, Prestigio. So these are their real phones under development. These companies have worked with Qualcomm and with Longcheer. Longcheer is an ODM, that's a device manufacturing partner. And these phones are up and running with live tiles, and the software is in good shape and well underway. And you can expect to see all of these companies making progress on their engineering with Windows phones to see that wide range of phone hardware. Now, I know one of the things that you're all really interested in is getting a good look at the software, so let's get to a demo of Windows Phone 8.1 software. Okay, let me see here. All right. Now, I want to start out by showing you a few ways that we've made Windows Phone 8.1 more personal, more sort of tailored to the way you use the phone and better at expressing your personality. The first thing I want to show is a way that we've tuned Windows Phone to help make you more efficient and give you a customized way to connect to the apps that maybe you haven't pinned and get to notifications about things that are happening, as well as get quick access to settings. So I'm going to come up here and pull down from the top and show you our new Action Center in Windows Phone 8.1. Yes, thank you. We know this is something that a lot of our users have been asking for, so here it is. And if you look down from the top, the first thing you'll see is it shows you more detail about things like your actual battery percentage. If I had dual SIM running on my phone, whoops, I think I pulled the power cord out there. If I had dual SIM running on my phone, I'd see information about both of my SIMs with their name. Up here, you'd see these 4 buttons are customizable quick settings. I can set whatever I would like. And down below are the notifications coming from all my apps. And as app developers, we're putting you in a position to really control what's shown in those notifications through new APIs that give you control. And the user has great control as well, because they can decide which apps should cause the phone to vibrate or make a sound or just show up in the Action Center and so on. So as you see, I brought this down over the lock screen. It's accessible wherever you are in the UI, really very convenient. Now, the second thing we've done to make Windows Phone feel even more personal is a feature that lets you greatly personalize your lock screen. And I'm pretty sure this is something that none of you have seen before. In Windows Phone 8, we had support for applications to set a background image behind lock. But in Windows Phone 8.1, we've implemented a new set of APIs for the lock screen, which we're using ourselves for a little while before we publish them all to you. These APIs enable lock screen experiences that are highly interactive and unique, where the application can take over full control and really render whatever it would like. As the first app to use these, we've been collaborating with Rudy Hoyne. You all know Rudy Hoyne, star Windows Phone developer behind Wikipedia and SixTag and SixChat. And he's been working with us to build out a first experience, which we, Microsoft, are going to publish in the store in the coming months to give users a wide range of highly varied lock screen themes. So in this case, this is one that's called Diagonal. And you can see the app has got complete control over the lock screen. And when I move and touch, it shows the time and calendar and notification information in a unique way. And when I unlock, it unlocks. And I'm actually going to come over here and switch to a different one to give you a sense for how widely varied these lock screen experiences can be. I mean, the sky is the limit in terms of what all of you will be able to do with this creativity once it's available. Here you can see my day of the week is displayed completely differently. The arrangement of things on the screen is different, and up here you see this cool sort of, this one's called Tokyo. These 3 balls all align very nicely when I pan right up to the top, and then it unlocks. So there's a wide range of possibilities here, and we think our end users will love the creative flexibility that will be possible with these new lock screens. Now, third, of course, we've evolved the heart and soul of Windows Phone, the start screen. And so I'm going to pan over here, and the first thing you'll notice on my small device, with Windows Phone 8.1, users have the option to choose a high density, lots of tiles layout where they get 3 columns of cross of tiles. And I'm going to jump in here to settings and go to the start and theme area, where you can see down here there's an on-off switch for showing more tiles. I'll leave that turned on. So that's one way we're letting users greatly customize their start screen. But another thing we're doing here is we're letting people choose a background for start. So I'm going to choose background and go into the set of backgrounds that we've supplied, because I like this one here with this cool green texture, which matches my phone. I'll say OK, and then you can see there that photo has been selected. And now when I go back to start, voila, I have a really different and beautiful visual appearance for my tiles. All of this is about making Windows Phone more personal and better able to fit your personality and look the way you want and give you customization, because we think when a phone knows you, you have a better experience with it. There's no other device that's so personal. In fact, along those lines, actually, one of the things that we spent a lot of effort on this past year is a new feature that makes Windows Phone very personal in an incredibly useful way. So we've been working on this for a long time. We think it's an experience you're going to love, but rather than me describe it to you, I figure you should just watch as she comes to life.
Hi, I'm Cortana.
Well, here she is. I'm thrilled for you all to now meet our truly personal digital assistant for Windows Phone. And yes, her name is Cortana. Yeah! All right. Hey, Cortana, do you like your name?
Cortana? I love it. It's certainly a lot catchier than Microsoft Personal Assistant V1 Service Pack 2, 2014.
We thought so too. Any comments about how you look?
Some things I resemble. A hula hoop, a donut, a halo.
All right. Now, Cortana is powered by Bing. So since she understands the entire internet, you could say she knows everything about the world. But beyond what you'd expect from a mere search engine, Cortana also gets to know you. She's always looking out for you, and she keeps you closer to the things you care about most in the world and the people you care about most in the world. So let's take a look about how she actually looks and performs on a Windows Phone. So I'm gonna switch over to my Lumia 1520 here, and I'll unlock my phone, and I want you to notice right there on the start screen, front and center, right here, I have a live tile for Cortana. So of course, Cortana has a live tile, and you can see she's animating right there. And there's a number of interests that I've already taught her about, and the live tile is showing me this news and information. So that's one way I might get to Cortana. But Cortana also fully replaces the search function on Windows Phone. So whenever you push the search button, Cortana is there to help you do searches, find information, or get things done. So I'm going to go down here and touch the search button, and there's Cortana. And you can see she greets me. She looks a little excited to see me here on stage and probably to see all of you. She says, "What's on your mind?" And below that, you see she's giving a bunch of suggestions for things that I might ask. And these suggestions are actually personalized. If you watch them, sometimes she suggests things actually related to people that she knows about me, people that she knows that I know. And one of the nice things you could do here is I'll just touch this See More, so you get an overview of all the kinds of things Cortana can do. Like a real personal assistant, she's good at handling your communications in your calendar. She can make phone calls or send texts or schedule appointments or take a note, give you a reminder. She's also good at helping you learn things. She can do searches, tell you what music is playing. She knows the places you frequent, and so on and so on. So all of that is built right in. But we knew that if we really wanted to make Cortana the most personal and the most powerful digital assistant, that we needed all of you to help us make her better and better. So if I scroll down here, you'll see as well, Cortana can be extended via third-party apps. And there are a number of app vendors that we've been working with to get ready for this announce and have the first samples of speech-enabled Cortana apps that can do things when the user interacts with their phone. And I'll show you how that works a little later. Okay, so let me come back here again, and there's Cortana. Now, a couple other things you might notice. When we went out and started working on Cortana, we met with a bunch of real-world personal assistants, and we talked to them about what made them good at their job. And there was this recurring theme they had about getting to know their client. What were the things the client liked? Who were the people that he or she cared about? When should he be bothered and when shouldn't he? And a lot of them said they kept that sort of information in a notebook. We said, well, that's a pretty good idea. We should give Cortana a notebook. So right up here in the upper right, I'm going to touch this hamburger button, and you see, here's Cortana's notebook. This is the transparent way of putting the user in control of their relationship with Cortana. You can see you can help her understand all of your interests, the people you care about, what your quiet hours are, and so on. So let me take you through some of this. When I go to interests, these are all the things that Cortana has inferred about me or asked me about or that I've told her I care about. I want a daily glance. I want to know about traffic. I want some news headlines. I care about the NCAA tournament, Stanford football, Windows Phone, and Xbox One. You get the idea. And the more I use the search function, the more Cortana learns about me by asking and confirming, would you like me to keep track of this for you, just like a real personal assistant would. Another good example of something Cortana really gets to know about you is the people that matter most. How could you have a personal assistant if they didn't know your friends and family? And that's the inner circle. So here you can see Cortana has inferred some people that I might care about. She's giving me suggestions down here. And then I confirm that certain people should be part of my inner circle, like my wife, my sister, and so on. And she even gets to know the relationships I have with those people. And that's really useful for a lot of different functions, but in particular, it's useful for quiet hours. I can turn on quiet hours and explain what I want my quiet hours to be, and then Cortana has a set of rules you see here for letting the inner circle break through even during my quiet hours. I might not want Terry Myerson to call me during quiet hours, but I probably do want to get a phone call from my wife. That level of control is entirely up to the user, just like you would have in a real-world relationship with a real personal assistant. Cortana also knows the places that you frequent, and she will automatically infer your home and work. But if she gets them wrong, they're right here in the notebook, easy to find. You can fix them. And if you want to teach her about some places that are important to you, you can just click the plus button and add a place, and then Cortana will come to understand that place as well. So the point is, the user is in control of his or her relationship with Cortana. Now, back on Cortana's home, you might be wondering, well, where do these suggestions and things show up? You might notice down here on the very bottom, Cortana is prompting me with information that's new. Wow, look at that. Microsoft is announcing Windows Phone 8.1. Here's a photo. So obviously that's something I'm interested in, and you can see her in action right there. Here's news and information about Xbox One, health news, sports news, the weather, and here's a good one. Cortana is asking, would I like for her to track Alaska Flight 26 from Seattle to Chicago? Now let me explain how she knew to ask me that. I've given Cortana permission to read all of the email I have on my phone. That's on my phone, Cortana on my phone. I've authorized her to scan email and recognize things that she might be able to helpfully track for me in the service. This is not the service knowing, it's the phone. And so Cortana has recognized a flight itinerary in my email, and now she's asking, should I track it? And I'll say yes. And voila, now the service becomes aware of it, and Cortana can prompt me when it's time for me to physically leave and get to the airport, wherever I am. She can notify me proactively if my flight is canceled or the time changes and so on. And that gives you a good sense of the way that Cortana on the phone gets to know you with your permission. It goes in the notebook, and then the service can be helpful proactively. So that gives you a sense of all the things that Cortana will do for you proactively. Now, I know a lot of you are wondering, is this guy ever going to get around to showing me how I interact with Cortana? Well, yes, thank you for bearing with me. I wanted to really give you a sense of what she's about. So let me actually get her to do some stuff for me. So here I am in Cortana. The first thing, of course, that you'd expect is that she can help me with my calendar and being organized like a real personal assistant. Wake me up at 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay, your alarm is set for 7 a.m.
Yeah, simple. Of course you'd expect that. She's not only good at alarms, but she's good with your calendar too. So imagine a real-world personal assistant, the kinds of things you might say to be organized. What's on my calendar for Saturday?
I'm finding 3 events Saturday. At 10 a.m., Alex soccer practice at soccer field. At 11 a.m., soccer game. And read all books from Game of Thrones before premiere, all day.
You gotta be ready, right? So in this case, I just ask her a question, she responds, and she's really good at telling me stuff on my calendar because that's what you would expect a personal assistant to do. And she can schedule things too. Now imagine you're in the dentist appointment at the desk and they want you to set up an appointment. Well, you can do this really easily. Put dentist appointment on my calendar for August 1st at 10 a.m.
All right. I'll add dentist appointment to your calendar for Friday, August 1st at 10 a.m. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, I've added it. Just so you know, you have pick up Christina from airport at the same time.
Well, that's what you'd expect from a personal assistant. If there's a conflict, you want them to tell you. And in fact, I could say to Cortana, please move an appointment and so on, and she can handle all those sorts of tasks. So that gives you a sense of how she can help you be organized and get things done. Well, as I said, she's powered by Bing and knows the entire internet, so she's pretty good at sort of searches and questions and those kinds of things. So here I am in San Francisco. I'm hoping to meet up with my family a little bit later, and I'm going to get a big group of people, let's say, and go out down in Palo Alto. So this is the perfect kind of thing that Cortana can help me with. Show me the best Mexican restaurants in Palo Alto.
Here are 10 Mexican restaurants in Palo Alto that are 4 stars.
Now here's what's going on. Of course, Cortana, powered by Bing, knows a lot about the internet, but remember, Bing has relationships with lots of other great data feeds. So in this case, Yelp data helps Cortana identify 4-star restaurants, and that's what she's showing me here. Now, because that data is present, and because Cortana is sufficiently smart, I can narrow my query in a really natural kind of way. I'm going to have a big group of people, so I want to make reservations. Which ones take reservations?
Here are the ones that are 4 stars and take reservations.
You notice she knew what I was already talking about. Now let's get a vote from the audience. I know some of you will know these places. Who thinks we should go to Milagros? Come on, Milagros. No one. Okay, I've been warned off. Cascal? All right, okay, thank you. The wisdom of the crowd in action here. So now, of course, I want her to help me complete the task by getting a reservation. Call the second one.
Sure thing. Who would you like to call?
Well, there you go. Our first little demo bug with my nervous voice. Generally, Cortana is quite good at recognizing in lists of places like that, if I say call, she'll call and the phone call happens automatically. So sorry about that. And actually, that's a good segue to mention that as you notice in the upper right, we're launching Cortana as a beta, because we're training the service on the back end with lots and lots of voice utterances to improve its speech recognition as things go on. And later on, we'll remove the beta tag as we expand from the United States to the UK and China, and then following that to other countries. So not that surprising that the service hits a couple of glitches now, and you'll all get a chance to play with it later. Now, there are a whole bunch of other questions that I can ask Cortana. How did the Seattle Mariners do yesterday? Oh, it got a 2. I'm going to try that one again. How did the Seattle Mariners do yesterday?
On Tuesday, the Seattle Mariners defeated the Los Angeles Angels.
You see that?
8-3.
That's the undefeated Seattle Mariners there at 2-0. Cortana is, right now, the service is in the process of learning a ton about sports and being good at answering sports questions. So, I was out with a bunch of people and we were talking about a particular sports topic, and this question came up. Oh, and it was a perfect scenario for Cortana, and one that I know a lot of you here in the audience will care about. How old is Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson is 25
25.
years old.
For you Niners fans, I'm sorry. That means he'll be with us in Seattle for a long time. So we're all happy about that. We'll see how that goes. Cortana is good at answering questions about the world. And as I said, as beta, we're making the service smarter and smarter and smarter. And sometimes she can help me with tasks that are related to my question. So let's say I'm out eating and I'm, trying to track my calorie intake, watch my diet. How many calories in a banana?
There are 105 calories in a serving of banana.
Okay, so she answers the question, and what's even more interesting, if you look down here, I can see more nutritional info, or I can add this to my diet tracker. And Bing will keep track of this, part of Bing on the web, but also the Bing Health and Fitness app gets this data as a means of Cortana being extended to apps, and then when I use that app, the banana is then added and I can keep track of those calories. It's an easy way to interact with Cortana by asking a question and then get the data in another app. Some more questions. What's the weather in Las Vegas?
It's currently 51 and cloudy in Las Vegas.
Straightforward. I know some of you might be confused by that. How about in Celsius? For the Canadians.
Here's that temperature in Celsius.
Okay, I know some of you are still confused. I'm sorry. I have one for the rest of you, and I want to hear whether this is what you were really looking for. How about in Kelvin?
I converted that temperature to Celsius.
No, that's not what I want. I'm going to do that again. How about in Kelvin?
I converted that temperature to Celsius.
The vagaries of a service that's alive and up and down. You should try this yourself when you get these bits, because Cortana is smart enough to tell you the answer in Kelvin. We've tried to make her smart, and sometimes, you think about the things that she might know and just how deeply can she reach into the internet to figure things out for you. And it's been fun to track in the limited use we've had at Microsoft to see the things that people are asking and tune the service and make it better. One of the things I know you all will be really interested in, what's the story of the next Halo game?
I'm quite certain you don't have proper security clearance for that information.
It is Cortana after all. I mean, I thought I would give it a shot, but you never know. Now, what you've seen me doing here is using the speech recognition capabilities to have a really natural conversation with Cortana. But there's lots of times that you expect and need not only your search function, but you'd like your personal assistant to be able to work in situations where it doesn't make sense for you to talk to her. So Cortana works with typing as well. So I'm going to go here, press the search button, and I'm going to do some typed queries. So the first one, and if you think about searches, sometimes you want to search the web, and sometimes you want to search on your phone, which is new in Windows Phone 8.1. So I'll say email from Terry, I'll type that, and now Cortana recognizes that I'm probably looking for stuff on my phone. She doesn't make any audible noise, and here you can see the emails on my phone from Terry. So search of local contents on the phone is now supported, and you see how Cortana handles that in a very natural way. Another example, you might be wondering, well, can I type complex requests to Cortana, or do I have to speak them? Yes, you can type anything. So as a personal assistant, one of the things that she's also good at is reminders. So I'll type in here, remind me when I get home to cook dinner for, not for my wife. So remind me when I get home to cook dinner for my wife, probably more realistically, cook dinner for my kids. I'll type it in. When should she remind me? Now, okay, here again, ordinarily she would recognize when I get home, and you would see right there, home. You get the idea. I can type these things. Generally, she recognizes places, fills it in, and makes it super easy, even when I'm not talking. Now, one of the other things that we've added into Cortana that is something we heard these personal assistants talk about a lot is the degree to which they help their clients with relationships with other people. You know, the personal assistants knew that you had a meeting with so-and-so, and they knew that the person had, you know, got promoted or was bummed out about something. And so a real-world personal assistant helps you with those relationships. We thought, well, that's a perfect thing for Cortana to do as well. In fact, it's something that other digital assistants don't do. So I want to show you a kind of reminder that only Cortana can do, and these are people reminders. So I'm going to keep myself out of trouble with my sister by remembering to talk to her about her new addition to her family. Next time I speak with my sister, remind me to ask her about her new puppy.
All right. Next time you talk to Nancy
Exactly.
Baumgart, I can remind you to ask her about her new puppy. Sound good?
Yep.
Great.
Now, of course, since this is a phone, I might talk to my sister on the phone, or I might have a chat string with her, I might have an email conversation, and in all those cases, Cortana will now remind me when I'm in the context of talking to my sister to talk to her about her new puppy, and of course that will make my sister feel much better about me as her brother. Okay, I showed you a little earlier that as we're building up Cortana, we are making her smarter and smarter on the service backend, but we're also inviting you all to participate with that as well. And when people start talking to their phone in natural language, we want to be able to use the natural language capabilities in the cloud to make your apps work better. So if a user addresses an app by name and then says some text, we're going to parse that and get it to you so that good things happen. Let me show you some examples. Skype, get David Treadwell.
Starting Skype.
This is a new version of Skype that we're updating for Windows Phone 8.1. And you can see here, Skype has recognized David Treadwell, and he's coming online here in the contact that I have set. I'm not going to actually make the call here on stage. You get the general idea. There are lots of other things that we're working on right now, and we invite you all to participate as well. Let's say I'm at a party or I'm out and someone says, have you seen the new show, in this case, Deadbeat? It's a new show on Hulu. Oh, Joe, you should watch that. I don't want to have to navigate around and find stuff. I want to really get to my apps quickly, so I can now do that via talking to Cortana. Hulu, add Deadbeat to my queue.
Opening Hulu Plus.
And so the app runs, the service recognizes the data.
All right. Adding Deadbeat to queue.
There it is. Deadbeat has been added to my queue using natural language and making that really convenient. Okay, I got one more third-party app example I want to show you. We've been collaborating with one of our really good partners to light up Facebook. Facebook, what's up with Terry Myerson?
Starting Facebook.
So of course the app will launch, the text is parsed in the cloud, it found Terry Myerson, and here I am looking at Terry Myerson's newsfeed. So it's very quick and easy for me to pan in. What? It's so on. Okay, who wants to see what Terry has posted about on Facebook? Yes? Yes? All right, let's do it. That sounds like something Terry would post to his Facebook timeline for sure. I wonder what Cortana thinks about that. Do you like Jimmy Fallon?
Thank you note to Jimmy Fallon. Thanks for my TV debut on your show. Love, Cortana.
Excellent. Well, we certainly think that that's a great way for Cortana's career to launch. You get a sense of what she's about. From our point of view, Cortana is the first truly personal digital assistant who learns about me and the things that matter most and the people that matter most. She understands the entire internet, and she's great at helping me get things done, whether it's by typing or talking. So now I'm going to change gears and talk about a whole different part of the Windows Phone 8.1 and a bunch of work we've done to light up an audience that we love and which I know a lot of you will love, and that is businesses. So to help go through all the ways that Windows Phone 8.1 is now killer for businesses, I'm going to invite Nick Hederman on stage. So Nick, come on out. Nick first started working... Nick's a great expert to have do this because he's first started working with enterprise customers back in Windows Mobile 5, and I'm going to let him take you through a bunch of the work we've done for business, and then I'll be back.
Well, thank you very much, Joe, and good morning, everybody. With the best productivity tools built right in, like Office, and a platform that's built on the secure NT kernel, Windows Phone has always been the right choice for business. But now with Windows Phone 8.1, we're taking it to another level. We're respecting existing IT investments, and we're working with a number of partners to support this new release. In fact, you can see just a few of them here on the slides on the screen. What's also great about Windows Phone is consumers can choose a device that suits their price point, the design, the screen size, and the color. And two very important things about once they've chosen a phone. First of all, they all come with that beautiful, consistent experience that Joe's been showing you so far. And secondly, they can be secured and managed in exactly the same way. Now, I'm going to show you some of these new capabilities here on this phone I've got plugged in. Now, we're trying to recruit Joe for a new role at Microsoft. It's a top secret role, and it's a thing that's very, very close to his heart, and that's Keynote t-shirt design. You'll notice he had a pretty cool one on there, and he typically always wears a great one when he comes out to talk to you guys. Now, this is Joe's phone. It's a beautiful Nokia Lumia icon. He bought it from a retail store, and in fact, he started using it for a few days before I took it off him. And then I asked for his username and password. We enrolled this device into his new role that we're trying to recruit him for. And I want to show you some of the changes that have happened. Once we enrolled that device, it pushed down all of the corporate information. His email, applications, policies, settings, and many, many more things. Now, the first thing I want to show you is the fact we now support Enterprise VPN in Windows Phone 8.1. So I'm just loading up here an internal site that we're connected to. Here it is. And I'm just going to go into Commute. This is actually a real Microsoft website. And you can see there, this is on Joe's phone. We're behind the firewall. We're browsing the web. And if I just swipe down from the top here, you'll notice that I've actually pinned VPN to my quick action settings there. And you can see the little padlock is flashing away as it's going out there. It's going into the, to connect up to VPN. And in a second, what you'll see here is that it's going to be connected. So that's just one of the first things that we've done in Windows Phone 8.1. The second is we now support S-MIME. So that allows users to read encrypted emails on their device, and they can also encrypt and sign emails when they send them from their phone. So I'm just going to go there we go, it's VPN's connected there, just so you can see it. I'm just going to go into Joe's email here, and what you'll notice, here's a mail from Justin, and because of that little certificate symbol showing up at the top there, you can see it's a signed message. Now, what's also great about Windows Phone is that when Joe or any user goes to send a new message from their phone, they can decide whether they want to encrypt or sign that message. So, for example, if Joe was just sending an email to his wife or his family or his friends, he could just send it in the normal way. Or if he was sending something very confidential internally, he could choose to use S-MIME. So it gives the user choice. Now I want to move on and talk about some of the MDM capabilities that we're bringing in this release. The first thing I want to do is show you a t-shirt design here from our head designer. This is a new designer that Joe's going to be working with in this role if we get him to do it. Here's a beautiful new Cortana design. Looks pretty cool. Now, if Joe went to try and save that email to his device, I'm sorry, Joe, we don't trust you with that information. You can see there the save option is completely grayed out. That's because the MDM policy is telling him that he can't have local copies here on his phone. Now, I also know that Joe loves to play Wordament. I saw him playing it just last night. And in fact, he had Wordament installed on this device before we enrolled it. But what you'll notice now is, unfortunately, we've put it on the deny list. So now that application can't be used on that device. We want him concentrating just on work and not having fun. So sorry, Joe, that app's been disabled. So let's go get Joe back out on stage and see what he thinks about all of these new capabilities, and specifically this new role we're trying to recruit him for. What do you think, Joe?
I love the phone, but no Wordament?
No Wordament.
Wordament? You folks play Wordament? I'm still going for the elusive 16-letter word achievement. I don't think I could do this. I love the t-shirt. I can't do this without Wordament. Can you put it back the way it was?
You don't want to do the role?
I'll work on t-shirt design without officially doing the role.
So the good news is that we can return this phone to its original state. We could do that remotely from the IT management console, but in this case, I'm just going to go into settings and do it manually here on the phone. So I'm going to go into Workplace. This is where we originally enrolled the device. You can see the relationship we have here. I'm going to delete that relationship. And then when I go back to my start screen, what you'll see is all those corporate applications are now being removed. The email, the corporate apps, that connection to VPN, and all the documents that were previously saved in the Office Hub. So that's now a device that's back. And good news, if we load Wordament, it's ready to go.
All right.
So in summary, we've added a host of new capabilities. I showed you just a few there, and we've got many, many more. Our partner ecosystem is expanding, and we showed you just some of those new partners a second ago. And that beautiful, consistent Windows Phone experience comes to life across an entire portfolio of devices. That's why we believe Windows Phone is the right choice for business. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks very much. All right. So the next set of things I want to talk about is a range of new features we've added to Windows Phone 8.1 just to delight users across the broad experience. And I don't have time to show you all of these, but I'm going to give you a quick sampling of features we put in just to make you smile. And I'm going to start with one that we think will make all of you smile, which is enhancements we've made to the store experience in Windows Phone 8.1. We want end users to be happier finding apps, and we want all of you to be way happier downloading more and more apps and getting more app engagement. So the first thing you see when I open the store, it's all about apps. And in fact, it lands on a new page that's about featured apps, which we can program its visual appearance from the service. We can change these groups. We can change the size of the tiles. So if there's a big launch, boom, an app gets a huge tile, and the user will be massively invited to engage with it. When I pan left, we've learned in our telemetry that promoting personalized suggestions works great for getting users to download apps. So we put the For You area just off to the left of the featured area. And of course, we have our categories, which are now the same as on Windows 8. And then a number of quick links, because we found these are the sorts of things, the lists, that users like to go down and load up their phones with. Things like new and rising apps when they're looking for something fun to get, top paid apps, top paid games, and so on. So we're excited that this store experience will get more engagement for you and get more users running apps. Now, the next new delighter I want to talk about is, again, an app that has great benefit for end users, but is relevant to all of you as an audience, and that is our new calendar. So I'm going to open up the calendar here, and you'll see here's the calendar view. It looks a lot like what you're used to in Windows Phone 8. You might notice up at the upper right there, I've now got the weather. But one thing that we changed in response to user feedback was enabling people to just swipe to the right to get to the next day, so I can go from today to tomorrow and so on. Very simple and straightforward. Another thing that users asked for was some other views. And in fact, people with fewer appointments on their calendar than I have really tend to like a week view, because it gives you an at-a-glance way to see any particular day and how busy it is. So if I touch on a particular day, then I have a way to jump in here and do that. You get the idea. Now, the feature for you developers is that this new version of Calendar we have re-implemented using the public third-party developer API only. And that means that we've been testing out the new platform, improving performance and list scrolling, making it really smooth. And so this nicely tuned experience that you see is one that's helped us get the platform ready. So when you update your apps, they have amazing performance as well. So that's the Calendar. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is a few places that we've done a lot of work to improve the basic performance of Windows Phone. And you're familiar, right here on my start screen, I pinned 3 of these, with Storage Sense, Data Sense, and Battery Saver. And all of these have been enhanced. But what I want to show you is a new Sense application that we've added to the phone called Wi-Fi Sense. So to do that, I'm going to go into System, the settings here, and choose Wi-Fi. And you'll see there's a huge, massive number of Wi-Fi networks that are set up here for the Build conference. I'll scroll past all of those. And I'm going to open Wi-Fi Sense. What Wi-Fi Sense is about is helping users take great advantage of Wi-Fi networks. So there's a service that we run that learns about the good Wi-Fi networks, and it will suggest great ones in your area. And up here at the top, you'll see it's got this Connect to Wi-Fi hotspots area that I've enabled. And what that does is asks Wi-Fi Sense to automatically connect me to free Wi-Fi hotspots when I'm in range. And you can see here, Wi-Fi Sense, if I give it permission, will automatically accept the terms of use on these websites in a portal page that you get. And I can even provide a name, email, address, and so on. So portals that require me to put in information get the information I provide and automatically sign me into Wi-Fi without me needing to do anything. Now, with Wi-Fi Sense, we didn't stop at free public networks. There's a whole nother scenario where getting people connected to Wi-Fi can be improved. Think about this. You have your own home Wi-Fi network. You have prudently protected it with a password. But whenever your friends come over, they want to get on your Wi-Fi network and they say, "What's your Wi-Fi password?" And then you tell them the password, and then they know your password, and then they sign in, and then they could get to anything on your network, actually. Well, we made Wi-Fi Sense take advantage of Windows Phone's personal nature, the fact that we understand your Facebook friends, your Outlook contacts, and so on, to give you a way at your choice to securely share your own Wi-Fi passwords with your friends in a way that's automatic. So if I turn this on, when my friends come over to my house, the Wi-Fi Sense service gives them a secure way to sign into my Wi-Fi hotspot without giving access to all the resources on my network, only to the internet connection, and now I don't have to verbally tell them the password. This helps everyone take advantage of Wi-Fi networks wherever they are and makes Wi-Fi way more automatic. So that's Wi-Fi Sense. Thank you. Each of these other experiences, Storage Sense, Battery Saver, Data Sense, they've all improved in a bunch of ways, which we'll explain in the blog. Okay. So let's see here. My sister is calling. Let me just take this. The timing's not great, but not terrible. Okay, hang on. I'm in front of a bunch of people. Just bear with me. You see here, the first thing that you notice when my sister calls is there's Cortana reminding me to ask her about her new puppy. Great. So I'm not going to get in trouble. And thank you. And there's a second thing that I want to point out here that's new in Windows Phone 8.1. We wanted to make it really easy and natural for people to take one form of communication, like a phone call, and go to a different form of communication, like, let's say, a video call. So you notice right there in the middle of the screen is a Skype button. The new version of Skype is not only enhanced to work with Cortana, but also gives me a way to elevate from an ordinary phone call to a video phone call just by pushing that button. And we do this in a smart way, keeping the phone call connected as long as possible while getting Skype up and running to get you to your video call. And that mechanism works not just for Skype, but also for the RCS apps that mobile operators are writing and deploying around the world. So there's an easy and natural way to take a phone call and go to a video call. Your new puppy is beautiful. I gotta go. Okay, so that gives you a quick look at Skype. and phone calling and how we've enhanced that. And I have one last delighter feature that I want to take you through. And trust me, go read the blog. There's a bunch more of these things. Play with the build. You'll find more. And this is actually probably, and I hate to choose favorites, but this is really my other favorite feature in Windows Phone 8.1. And once you get used to it and you go back to an older version, you just can't believe that you lived without this. And that is the enhancements that we've made to the WordFlow keyboard. The WordFlow keyboard is already a terrific keyboard on Windows Phone 8. It learns the things that you type, and it knows about the people you care about. And in Windows Phone 8.1, it's way better. In fact, the thing that really has made it magical is our addition of shape writing, which is now built in for free. And now I'm going to do the riskiest part of my demo. You thought talking to Cortana was risky. This is terrible. I have sweaty hands, and now I'm going to type as fast as I can. You ready? Being on stage at Build is simultaneously... Actually, let's fix this. It's not IV. Not IV, but... Oh, come on. On. Being on stage at Build is simultaneously... Okay, that worked. Delightful and horrifying. Of course, and I need all caps for this, I love, with a heart, developers. But hordes of occasionally cynical techies can be intimidating. Whew. There's the WordFlow keyboard in action. And now I can wipe off my sweaty hands because that part of the demo is over. Now, so you saw me do this here, and trust me, actually, when I'm feeling natural about it, I can do it even faster. My thumb's like pressing into the glass here. And so I don't want you to just take my word for it. In fact, as a proof point, I have a video I want to run because we thought our keyboard was so good that we should go for the Guinness Book of World Records. So let's run the video and see Windows Phone 8.1 trying to beat out the Samsung Galaxy S4 previous record holder, going for the world's fastest typing on a smartphone. Now, that guy is not nervous on stage. There is an official sentence that you have to type. The Guinness Book of World Records People has an official one, so we had to type that one. You can see this. This was actually with a beta, not final version here. And there, that complex sentence was typed in 17 seconds. And you'll see in a second, they're going to zoom in here. And yeah, come on, let us see. Oh, I think first they zoom out. Trust me, Windows Phone WordFlow keyboard is now the world record holder for fastest typing on a smartphone. And this is something you all should try yourself. All right. So the last thing I want to cover on Windows Phone 8.1 is how Windows Phone 8.1 works with Windows in a lot of amazing ways. And of course, you know that we've been doing that for a while. Today on Windows Phone, if you take a picture with your camera, we auto-upload the photo to OneDrive. And then if you switch to your PC or tablet, it's instantly available for you to browse. On your PC or tablet, if you create a presentation in PowerPoint and save to OneDrive, it'll immediately be available on your phone where you can view and edit it. So we already do lots of these things, but in Windows Phone 8.1, we did a bunch more. And in particular, we focused on settings. So, for example, if you've connected to a Wi-Fi hotspot on your PC and typed in a Wi-Fi password, well, now with Wi-Fi Sense, that password is immediately and automatically shared to your phone. You don't need to type it in again. And there are a whole lot of these kinds of settings, like your theme color and so on. And one of the experiences that's benefited from that, that's also connected between Windows and Windows Phone, is IE11, which is now part of Windows Phone 8.1. And that also adds a bunch of great new features, like in-private browsing now on the phone. And there's a terrific new reading mode that you need to try out that makes it super easy to read sites when they're complex or have small fonts. It's a terrific new browsing experience as well. So that's Windows Phone 8.1. And from our point of view, we're taking the world's most personal smartphone experience and making it way better with more customization options with Cortana, the only personal digital assistant on a smartphone, a lot of enterprise features, and many, many delighters, including ways that Windows Phone connects with your Windows PC. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be wondering, when will people get this? Well, Windows Phone 8.1 is going to start rolling out to consumers as an update in the next few months. We're finishing up our software, and then we work with the hardware vendors to match it with the software that they ship. Then mobile operators get a look at that, and then we roll that out on each phone model as it's ready. So look for that in a few months. You'll also see Windows Phone 8.1 available on brand new phones starting as soon as very late April or early May, and you'll hear a little bit more about that later. And for all of you developers, I'm not going to tell you now, you got to wait till David Treadwell's on stage and you'll hear what we have for you. So now I'm going to change gears and talk to you about Windows 8.1. This is the second operating system update we have to talk about today. And at Mobile World Congress, I explained that Windows 8.1 is enhanced to work great on lower cost devices with just 1 gig of memory and 16 gig of storage. We've also improved its enterprise support, in particular through a new enterprise mode feature in IE 11, which I'm going to show you. And we focused on making it smoother and easier to use for people with mouse and keyboard focus. And whether you have a touch screen or not, if you're heavily using a mouse and keyboard, we wanted to make Windows 8.1 easier to learn and easier to use. So today, I'm going to show you the Windows 8.1 update for the first time. So let's come over here and switch to the PC. I don't know if you folks have that on there. You'll notice I'm on my desktop because I'm on a PC here, which although it does have a touch screen, I'm going to focus on my usage with mouse and keyboard. So I'm on the desktop, and one of the new things we've done is enable the PC to boot or resume straight to the desktop. And what I'm going to do here is run IE. So I've run IE, I've opened Bing. Oh, you notice on Bing here, down at the bottom, there are a few things that look pretty familiar as the interests I've told Cortana about, because in fact, Cortana on the phone and Bing in the cloud share a knowledge of my interests, because I'm signed in right there, so that makes Bing a little bit more handy. And what I'm actually going to do, instead of focusing on this, that was a little non sequitur, I want to show you how IE 11 has been updated to help enterprises deal with legacy sites on their corporate intranet. So I'm going to go here to this Contoso corporate travel site. This is a site that the Contoso company has put on their corporate intranet years ago when they targeted IE 8. IE 8, a very popular browser, and you see the site's kind of confused. It thinks I'm using an older version of IE. It's asking me to update to IE 8. Oh no, that's not what I want. And so what we've done with an enterprise mode in IE 11, which I'm going to switch to right here so you can see the difference, is change the user agent string, change the way ActiveX controls are invoked, re-enable some features that we have previously degraded and disabled, so these legacy sites will work great. So you see when I switch to enterprise mode, voila, Contoso Travel now works. And the way I showed that to you in this manual way is not the way we expect IT managers to really handle this. IT managers are able to set a list of sites on their corporate networks that should automatically go into enterprise mode, and therefore end users will get the right rendering approach for the old sites and the most modern rendering approach for sites out on the internet in a totally seamless way. And this is great because it makes it much more plausible for enterprises to be deploying this on their new PCs because they get to keep their site compatibility. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is a bunch of UI improvements we've made to the mouse and keyboard experience of Windows. And I mentioned already that I can boot straight to the desktop or resume to the desktop, but now I want to talk about one of the most used areas of computing real estate in the universe, and that is the Windows taskbar. If you are a Windows user that's been a Windows user for a long time, you probably have a deep and intimate relationship with the taskbar. It's the way you think about switching between apps or launching apps, and we've enhanced it significantly in this update to work with new Windows Store apps. So you'll see down here, I have a few apps that are Win32 apps, and then over here I have a bunch of taskbar buttons for apps that are Store apps. So here is the Facebook app, and you'll notice when I open it up, Right up here at the top, we show the title bar because Windows users that have a mouse and keyboard are incredibly accustomed to coming up here to choose minimize, and that now works in a modern app. I'll switch back here to Facebook again, and you notice the taskbar was displayed on the bottom as well. So if I move down here to the bottom of the screen, the taskbar will pop up, and I can use that to switch between modern apps. There's Mail, there's Facebook, or I can switch back to a Win32 app like IE, the desktop is brought up. I no longer have to think about a different switching model for apps, whether they are Win32 desktop apps or modern. And I want you to keep in mind, thank you. I want you to keep in mind that the work that we've done to make touch great is unaffected by these changes. If I were holding a tablet in my hands, being able to swipe in from the left and do task switching is convenient and natural. And that's still present, but it's no longer required for my mouse and keyboard use. Now, similarly, if I'm using a tablet, when I swipe in from the right with my thumb, it's handy to have the start button and settings and search right there, but that was something that we wanted to fix for mouse and keyboard users as well. So let's take a look at the start screen. When I go to the start screen, you'll notice we've made a few changes here to make it easy for mouse and keyboard users to get to those functions. So right here, we've put a PC settings tile in because Windows 7 users expect to find settings or control panel on start. Up here, we've added a power button and a search button. So those functions, which previously hung off your right thumb, are now easy to find on start. The second thing we've tried to do is not just make it compatible so it's easy to learn, but get all of the new value, live tiles, and a customizable start screen to be more familiar for Windows mouse and keyboard users. So we implemented a right-click context menu that pops up in a familiar way, a way that all mouse users have grown to love, and it makes it easy for me to do things like resize a tile into its large or small size and so on. Even beyond that, there are power user commands that Windows users are familiar with, like holding down the control key and selecting a bunch of app tiles. And then when I do that, I can grab them all and drag them around together. I'll move these tiles all to here, and you can see that set of 3 all moved. Or I can choose a set and change them all to small tiles. So I have a powerful and quick way to interact with the start screen via the mouse. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to show is ways that we've improved Windows 8.1 via this update to help users find your apps. So I'm going to come back to the desktop, and I want to point out here, you might have noticed, and this is on all PCs that get the Windows 8.1 update, we are pre-pinning the Windows Store to the taskbar so that desktop mouse and keyboard users will find the store much more discoverable. It's right there. It's always available. And in fact, I also want to show you that this is a store update that will be coming a little later. We're improving the store UI to be really mouse and keyboard friendly. And instead of some of these functions being off-screen, handy if you have a touch tablet, but not so discoverable on a PC with no touch screen. Now it'll be much easier for people to discover these categories, find recommended apps, and so on and so on. So the store update as well is going to become mouse and keyboard friendly, and that's something we'd like you all to do with your apps. And we're going to be providing samples for you and doing right-click menus and the kinds of things that make your UI discoverable and on-screen for mouse and keyboard users. So that's the first change. The second change that we've done, besides making the store really visible, is when people are using their PC to do things like searches, we want your apps to be present. So here I am on the start, and I could click search, or I could just start typing. And if I start typing something like pinball, you'll see right here we recognize there are apps in the store that match. We serve them up to the user, so finding an app and installing an app is incredibly easy right there at the top of search. I could just click here to jump to the store and install that. And then the last thing is that we've seen some people get a little bit confused about where did the app go when I installed it. An installed app is no good if there's not user engagement after the fact. So you see down here, just as in Windows 7, we added a prompt to show you where new apps are installed, and you see here that new apps are highlighted in the All Apps list. And of course, I can just right-click on one and choose to pin it to my start screen, or now pin it to my taskbar. So whether I'm a desktop mouse and keyboard user or a tablet user focused on touch, I can find the apps I care about, I can make them accessible, and they work well in the modality that I care most about. So that is a quick look at the Windows 8.1 update. The Windows 8.1 update will be available to all Windows 8 and 8.1 users via Windows Update starting April 8th, next Tuesday. And for you developers, yeah, you have to wait till David Treadwell comes on stage to hear what we have for you as well. So, that is my look at Windows Phone 8.1, one big new operating system release from us, and the Windows 8.1 update, a second. That's 2 in 1. Thank you very much for listening. Have a terrific Build conference, and especially thank you, Cortana. So long.
Thanks, Joe. I like your t-shirt. Next up, David Treadwell, Corporate Vice President, Operating Systems Group.
Hello, Bill. Good morning. Well, that was a great look at what we're doing in Windows and Windows Phone. Joe gave some awesome demos, really a super job. Well, I get to talk to you about what we're doing for you as developers in our operating systems, our platforms, our tools. First, let me take a moment to introduce myself. Dave Treadwell. I've worked at Microsoft for almost 25 years. During that whole time, I've always been involved in our developer technologies, our platform, our operating systems. I started in the Windows NT group, in the networking team. And I want to tell you a story that I've actually never told publicly before about one of my early projects. My manager at the time, a fellow named Dave Thompson, assigned me to write the Windows sockets infrastructure for NT. And when he gave me this assignment, he gave me one criteria. He said, Dave, whatever you do, don't create a driver. And the reason was totally legitimate. Drivers are complicated. They use more system resources. If you have a bug, they can crash the system. It's tough to get a driver right. So I went off and I worked to design this thing, and a couple weeks later, I'd kind of figured it out, but I'd concluded that, you guessed it, I actually needed a driver. And we had a design review meeting with myself and my boss Dave and several other senior engineers. And we went over my proposed design for this. And the reason I needed a driver was that I wanted socket handles to be native system handles. And the only way to achieve that at the time was with a driver. So we had this meeting, 2 hours long. We're trying to find some other way to get socket handles as native handles without a driver. But the conclusion of the meeting at the end of it was, yes, in fact, we really do need a driver. I'll never forget this. Dave, my boss, he pounded his fist on the table, and he said, gosh darn it, another freaking driver. Maybe not exactly those words, but that was the tone of it. And I looked at him and I said, well, that's cool. That's what I'm going to call it. Because it turns out that at that time in our build system, you couldn't have a DLL and a driver with the same name. We needed winsock.dll for the DLL, and I couldn't use that for the driver. So a couple days later, I checked in the beginnings of this new driver, and Dave came by my office, and he said, hey, what's this AFD thing you just checked in? And I told him, well, remember, that's the sockets driver. We talked about this. We need a driver for handles and all that. He said, oh, yeah, that's right, but why'd you call it AFD? I said, well, Dave, you named it. Remember, it's another freaking driver. And he kind of laughed, and he said, well, that's cute, but you actually need a real name for this thing. And so I thought about it, and I came back and said, Dave, I got it. Remember what the driver does. It provides additional functionality for what we need for sockets. So we're going to call it the ancillary function driver. And he said, he laughed too, and he said, that's good, you can go with that. So to this day, on every single version of Windows, there's a file called afd.sys that is the driver for the winsock functionality. It's there. Check it out in Windows, System32 drivers. Every Windows machine has that file, and now you know how it was named. So I'm going to talk to you today about 3 main areas where we're focused on listening to you as developers and helping you. First, we know that you need to reach your customers across multiple devices, PCs, phones, and tablets. Windows will help you do that. Second, we know that you've made huge investments in your apps and in your code, and you need to carry those investments forward. Windows will help you do that. And third, we know that you need to deliver apps and services across multiple platforms. Yes, Windows will help you do that too. Let's start with how we're helping you reach your customers across different devices. People work and they play across all kinds of computing devices. In a given day, I'll use 2 or 3 different laptops. I have a desktop in my office at work. I'm on my phone all the time. I use a tablet for games at home. My family does the same thing. My wife, she has a laptop. My kids, they have tablets. My older son, he has a phone. All of us want the same app experiences across all of our devices. I'm sure it's the same with you and with your families. Yet today, there's no easy way to create apps that work across all form factors. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Universal Windows Apps. With the Windows Phone 8.1 release, we've brought the new Windows runtime to phones. Now you can use common code to produce apps across phones, PCs, and tablets. Google and Apple, they have a different approach. They want you to create one app for phones and tablets and a different app for laptops and desktops. We don't see it that way. We're excited to be the first in the industry to make it easy to build apps that reach customers across all the devices where they spend their computing minutes. To enable Universal Windows apps, we've streamlined every phase of the development cycle. With Windows, it's simpler to design, to architect, to build, to debug, and to deploy your app. Let's talk about each of these in more detail, starting with the user interface. When we looked at how to streamline the process of designing your apps, we found that some of you want to create one app that runs across all form factors. You want to adapt that user interface automatically. For example, here's Paint for Kids, a popular Windows app that will be coming to Windows Phone with the 8.1 release as a universal Windows app. By using a grid view control that adopts automatically to screen sizes, by using pointer APIs that automatically take input from mouse, touch, ink, the developer is able to create an overall user interface and a single application that works great across form factors. Next, we found that others of you want to tailor your experience to the form factor. You want to have a really optimized app for a phone and a really optimized app for the PC. For example, here you see Epicurious, a popular cooking app on Windows that will be coming to phone also as a universal Windows app. This developer chose to create different views that are highly optimized for each form factor. Yet even so, the bulk of the code was the same across all the devices. Now let's talk about the code, the app architecture, the programming languages, the APIs, the stuff that matters most to you as developers. Universal Windows apps are based on the Windows runtime on phone, just like on PCs and tablets. This means that you have a common, familiar way to build and architect your apps. For example, how you handle things like suspend and resume, the security context and infrastructure. It's the same across all the devices. This also means that you can use the programming languages that you know well, the ones that you love, the ones most effective to your task for your Universal Windows apps. If you love the power and control of C and C++, you can use it. If you love the productivity that C#, .NET, VB.NET enable, you can use those too. Or if you want the breadth of HTML, JavaScript, and the web, yes, you can use those for Universal Windows apps. This also means you have a common... Yeah, go ahead. Use the language you love. This also means you have a common, extensive API set for everything from handling low-level data types to higher-level concepts like the file system APIs, notifications to users, and more. Of course, the best way to develop apps has always been Visual Studio. And now Visual Studio is streamlining development of Universal Windows apps. VS makes it easy to share code across phone and PC apps, and it gives you the tools to debug and optimize them. So I'd like to ask Kevin Gallo to come up and show you the vision we have for VS and Universal Windows apps. Kevin?
Thanks, Dave. So what I'm going to show you is an update to Visual Studio 2013 that allows you to build these universal apps. So let me launch Visual Studio here. And the first thing I want to show you that if you are starting from scratch and you want to see the templates, it's very easy. We have added a new node here under Store Apps for universal apps and some simple templates to get you going from scratch. But like you know, typically we're not starting from scratch with an app. I have an app either on Windows or on Windows Phone that I now want to take to the other platform and device form factor. So I'm going to start with a Windows app. You could have started from a Windows Phone app. And then I'm going to make sure I add a device target for the other. So I'm going to go to one that I've already been working on here, which is a Sports League Fantasy app. You can see here I have it for Windows 8.1. And so I'm going to launch this and kind of just show you what the app looks like on Windows. So as you can see here, I have it very simple. I have a hub control kind of as my main page here. And then my first little panel over here gives you some news. This would be like a table here, you know, where the people are and the points, as well as the teams and their rosters and a schedule. So let me go back to VS. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically add the ability to have a Windows Phone 8.1 target. So it's very simple. Let me stop the project there. I will just simply right-click on the project here, and I say add a Windows Phone 8.1. And so it's going to tell me here in this dialog what it's going to do, but I'll just show you that. So it's going to create two nodes. One for the features that are very specific, or code that are assets that are specific to Windows Phone 8.1, as well as this new shared node. And this is really the significant addition here, is you can now very easily mark what code and assets you want shared. Since I've built this application using the Windows runtime, I can share my entire app. So I'm going to drag this down here and move it all into the shared node. So what's this doing? It's taking everything that was in my Windows 8.1 project. This includes my code, my localization files, my images, as well as my XAML, and moving it into the shared project, because now it's going to be shared. And I want to say this is all of my code, including all of my XAML. The next thing I'll do is, just like you, I have probably some third-party libraries that I've used here, and I've decided to use JSON.NET. So I need to tell it that I want to use that. By default, we don't assume you're going to share. We're going to make it so you select what you want shared and move into the shared node. And so here I'm going to say I also want to share this third-party library. And so this reference is also here now in my Windows Phone project. So as you can see, I've moved the entire app here. I have all my views. Again, by default, we don't actually assume that your start page will be the same. But since I used a hub control, and the hub control is a universal control, it can automatically lay out both for your phone and for your PC. So I don't need this. So I'm going to delete these and say that I want to just use the default hub control that I had. And so let's just rebuild it, make sure I didn't screw anything up here. Some typical warnings, and I'll just ignore those, like most of you probably do as well. And we'll kind of see if it runs, and then we'll go back and figure out if they mattered. So one of the things we've done here, well, yeah, we all know we do it. Just admit it, own up to it. So we made it very easy here to change the startup project. It's a little bit hard to do before. Now it's very easy. I just do this drop down. I say I want to use Windows Phone emulator here, and this will just launch my app. Let's see what it looks like. Again, this was a complete copy and share of all of my code. So as you can see here, the hub actually looks pretty good. I can pan around. Now, if I look at the first page here, the news view, it doesn't look that good. But the rest of it, really good. Looks really good. It's just a standard hub. This one kind of spins around here, like our default UX on phone. So it's a very, very nice app right out of the gate. But you know what? I care about the quality of my app, and I want to tune this better. So not only can you, by default, get a great experience with all of the same code, you can go tune the UX to be better on the device and add some device-specific features. So like I said here, these are my views. So I'm going to kind of choose 3 views that I'm going to tune specifically for the phone. The cover story, a leaderboard, and points here. So how do I do that? First thing I do here is I drag my user controls back up here. So I had shared it before and moved it down. I'm going to put it back and say, you know what, these 3 views are only going to be for my Windows Phone 8.1 project, my Windows project. And here I built a set of those views beforehand, and I'll just drop these into my Windows Phone specific node. So you can see here I have different user controls for these 3 views, but everything else is shared. So now let's see this running. So now you can see what I've done here is I've just simplified the main page, and I have a little icon down here that shows the news feed rather than having it there, and I've rearranged the layout. I also tune this a little bit here in my UX. You know, rather than having it as big, I said, let's take advantage of a little bit of the density of the phone in this portrait view. So then I also added one other view, and this is my pivot points table. And so I can very easily here add the extra view. Wow, it's not working very well. Wow. Dave, have you been messing with my code? Have you messed up my app? As usual, I have to go fix the bugs that Dave introduces. So I will go back, and luckily we've made some enhancements to our diagnostic center to help debug these types of issues. So let me go there and say, you know, as you can see, there's a few more items here. First is we've added a memory usage diagnostics tool, but I don't think that glitchiness really was due to memory. I think that probably is due to CPU, and maybe there's something wrong with my XAML. And so I can run these now in parallel. Beforehand, you'd have to run them separately, but now you can run them in parallel, and you can diagnose problems that maybe, you know, are mixed between the two, and there's some sort of interaction between your CPU and your XAML. But rather than run this here, which takes a little bit of time to run the diagnostics, I already have a log here that I'll open up and show you. So here we have our app startup, and then, oh wow, look, this looks like there's the problem right here. In my UI through utilization, the frame rate drops through the floor, my CPU pegs. So let's go look here and see what this might tell us. Well, wow, you know, really there's nothing in my XAML that's telling me is wrong, but wow, the CPU usage is high. So someone must have put something into the code here that just drove the CPU high that caused that kind of glitchiness. So what I could easily go do now is diagnose, figure out where the problem was, and go fix that. Now once I fix that, I can then take this app and I can submit it to the Windows Phone store. So I very easily was able to take that application and convert it to a universal app, do some tuning, and then submit it to the store. One of the features that we've added here to make it easier to kind of look at your UI and manage it is what we call a context switcher. So I'm going to load up the designer here by clicking on this XAML here that's in our shared project. As you can see, here's my XAML and there's the view for the phone. But I can very easily, using this drop-down, switch and look at it and what it looks like on Windows or a tablet form factor. That's a great feature, very easy to go do. And this is how you design universal controls by building the multiple layouts for each of the different types of layouts that you want. And I could have tuned this right here. So with that, I just want to summarize that we've added 2 key features here with Visual Studio. There's a whole host of them, but the 2 that I showed were 1, you can build universal apps and you can easily share all of your code, or you can do some tuning to make the UX pop on the different form factors, as well as a bunch of diagnostic tools to really help you make great apps and submit them to the store and have high quality. With that, I'll hand it back to Dave. Thanks.
Great job, Kevin, and sorry for messing up your code. So that was a great overview of how Visual Studio makes it just so easy to create universal Windows apps. The last area I want to talk about is how we've streamlined the store experience around universal Windows apps. The Windows Store now features shared app identities. This is a concept where you can give your customers a common app experience across phones and PCs. For example, your customers can buy the app one time, and it works on both phone and PC. They don't need to buy a different app for the phone and the PC. Likewise, your customers can now make durable in-app purchases. If you're rating a game, you can buy your sword on the phone, use it on the PC. With shared app identities, you also get to share cloud storage and a notification channel. And there's a universal badge icon, which makes it clear to customers that the application experience is the same across all the devices. Shared app identities let you run your business the way you want to. If you want a common app experience, the same purchase experience across phone and PC, you can do that. If for some reason you want a different purchase experience, you're also enabled to do that with shared app identities. And there's a host of other improvements that we've made in the ingestion and store process. For example, we've made submitting your apps to the phone store more than 50 times faster. We got a little feedback on we could do better there. So now I've told you about how we're enabling universal Windows apps and tuning the entire development cycle to help you build them. But I want to show you the real power of the platform. What's the most powerful kind of app that we have built on the platform? Well, what better example than opening up Cortana herself? Hey, Cortana, can you open yourself up in Visual Studio so we can take a look?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. What about Microsoft Office?
Nice dodge, Cortana. Great. With that, I'd like to invite Kurt Koenigsbauer, VP of the Microsoft Office team, to show you what we're doing with Office and Universal Windows apps.
Hey. Thanks, man. Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm not Cortana, but I'm from the Office team. So what I want to do is give you a look at some of the work we're doing to build touch-first versions of Office for this modern Windows platform that, as Dave talked about, will scale from the smallest form factors, from phones to tablets to PCs, up to the largest large-screen devices. From a development perspective, the Windows runtime for us has proven to be a really great platform to build highly responsive, deep apps. And so I want to give you a sense of what that looks like. I'm going to show you PowerPoint. I'll start there. This is a preview of our work in progress. We've still got some work to do before we ship these. But hopefully it'll give you a good sense of the direction we're taking and the direction and the power of the Windows modern platform. So, again, just a preview. This is early user experience code. But one of the things that we wanted to do is to bring forward the experiences from Office on Win32 to the modern platform itself. What you're looking at here is the early version of the Backstage. The Backstage is where you get all of your templates. You can navigate through those. Of course, your most recently used files. It roams with you from device to device to device. So we're connecting to the service experience of Office 365 with the native client experiences here. I'm going to go ahead and open up a file. I'll just go to the file picker, pop open a document for us to look at, and we'll work through this one here. Now, as we built these new applications, we wanted to make sure that as customers moved from Win32 to the modern version on Windows, that they would have an unmistakably Office experience. And a key part of that, of course, is the iconic ribbon for how commanding works and how people navigate through the applications. And so here you can see the ribbon at the top, and I can navigate through just using my finger, a great touch-first experience through all the commanding, really optimized and in the same hierarchical order, though, that people would expect on Win32. So there's no learning curve as they come to these new applications. The next thing that's really important for every single Office customer is that every single one of their documents opens flawlessly on any version of Office. And so you'll see that. We've taken the richness of the open XML file format, fully exposed here on these modern versions of Office. And you can see as I go through, there's things like smart art and text and graphics layered on top of each other. We've got, of course, pictures. We've got shapes wired up, tables and so forth. So you can see the full file fidelity of the Office experience is here. The other thing that you'll notice is, and I'll just tap through really quickly, is that this is blazingly fast. And this is fast because we've built this application from the ground up on DirectX. And we get really high fidelity interop between the XAML layer and the custom DirectX code that we've built. And that's what gives you this really snappy, blazingly fast experience. Let's go ahead and look at some of the editing surface that we've done too. I'm going to just do some really simple things here, showing you some of the touch-first experiences. We've made the touch points on the ribbon really big and easy, so you can just use your fingers, even big fat fingers like I have, to go through, and I can just bold, italicize, underline. I can bring up galleries. You'll find in these new modern versions of Office that there are galleries for things like transition effects and charts, titles, colors, themes as you see them here. And so just using my finger, I can go ahead and pick the color scheme that I want to use. I'll go down a little bit, and let's say I got to finish up this very last slide that's in this deck. And I can go ahead and maybe insert, you can see shapes, smart art, chart, pictures, tables. I'll just drop a picture in here really quickly, and I can move it around. Again, you see that great performance here. I'll get it right where I want just using my finger. I can drag it here. Let's say I goof something up. Let's say in the process of rotating it around or adjusting it, it's not quite the way I want it to be. I can use the undo stack. We have multiple levels of undo. In fact, unlimited undo, unlimited redo. And a core reason for that is that we're automatically saving all of the Office documents in this modern version of Office to the cloud, directly to OneDrive. And so that's a great thing for customers. It's a great thing for things like collaboration. It's a great thing to have unlimited version history in these apps. Well, let's go ahead. You can applaud. It's totally cool to do that. Let's go ahead and take a look at presentation mode. That's, of course, what people want to do when they work on their presentations. And you can see I can just navigate through here using my finger. I can go through swiping. You see all the transition effects, the beautiful graphics, animations. We've begun to wire up some of the gesturing capabilities. So, for example, I can pinch and zoom, and I can jump to any slide in the presentation, no matter where I am. I'll just go to this table that you see here. And that's a really nice feature for presenters. I can swipe down from the top. We've also worked with the Windows team to enable inking in the application, so I can pick a pen. This is preliminary UI here. I can use either a stylus for precision. This time I'm just going to use my finger, and I can go ahead and circle things, highlight things. You get the idea here. I could drop down again, pick a different pen if I want, exit out of the drawing mode, go back, pinch and zoom again, drop back to a particular slide I've got in the presentation. Really simple collaboration on the go using this touch-first experience with Office. Now, as Dave talked about, one of the most important things that we're doing with these modern versions of Office is taking advantage of the Windows runtime to deliver these universal applications. And so what I'd like to do is ask the folks to put the phone experience up. And I want to show you this same application that I was just working on the tablet. Same binary, same executable, also works on the phone. And so hopefully you guys can see that here. And I'll go ahead and swipe. This is modern version of Office PowerPoint running on this Nokia phone. And I can swipe on the tablet. I can swipe here, back to the tablet. Again, you get this really consistent experience, full file fidelity across these two apps. So hopefully a really good example of the notion of universal Windows. I've got experiences for the phone, experiences for the tablet, PCs, large screen devices, all a single experience. Thank you very much. Dave, back to you.
Kirk, that was awesome. I think one of the best parts of that demo is how it shows that Microsoft is bringing our most sophisticated, our richest, our most important applications to the Windows runtime as universal Windows apps. So we think this can handle all scale of applications. Okay, the second theme I wanted to talk with you about today is how we are adding innovations that support the investments you've made in your code and your apps. Based on your feedback, we've added hundreds of new features for Windows Phone 8.1. For example, new background triggers enable you to create apps that are always aware and can engage your customers in response to things like push notifications or geofences. Support for Bluetooth LE opens up new kinds of device scenarios like fitness, wearables, healthcare, home entertainment. We have new video editing APIs that open up all sorts of new creativity and media scenarios for you and for your customers. And there are many, many more. And as we build these innovations, we're working hard to have a technology continuum to give you a bridge from the code investments you have today to this future. Let me talk about what that means for those of you with existing Windows Phone apps first. If you have a Silverlight Phone 8 app, it will, of course, continue to run on Windows Phone 8.1. Next, if you want to take advantage of the new features that we're adding to the platform, like the ones I just showed, you can easily update your app to be a Silverlight Phone 8.1 app. And third, if you not only want to take advantage of new functionality, but also have your application run easily across devices as a universal Windows app, you can migrate your app to a universal Windows app. We're providing this technology continuum that lets you move forward and adopt innovations at a pace that makes sense for you and for your business. And no matter which of these approaches you choose, I want to let you know that we are committed to making sure your apps continue to run on future versions of Windows and Windows Phone. Let me just show you one great example of how this works in practice. One of the platform innovations in Windows Phone 8.1 is bringing together voice commanding with the power of Cortana. You can now get an incredibly simple yet amazingly flexible system that enables whole new ways for customers to interact with your apps. Voice command in Windows Phone 8.0 enable customers to invoke your app by its name, for example, Flickster. And they also allowed you to define a simple grammar of pre-existing phrases, so you could invoke specific commands like Flickster, find movies near me. Well, in Windows Phone 8.1, thanks to the power of Cortana, you no longer have to define grammars or long phrase lists. You can give Cortana's speech recognition platform some hints, and she'll do the hard work, building and optimizing the grammars for you. Everything Cortana knows about, from everything in the dictionary, all the words in movies, musicians, all are now at your disposal. It's like a natural command line for the future. Let me show you one specific example. This demo is always fun. Doing speech reco demos in front of thousands of people on a massive PA system is often exciting. This is a Twitter application where they've taken the advances that I just described to you in the Windows Phone platform and used that natural language processing to help me do a tweet. Twitter, new tweet. Hello from Windows Phone 8.1. Hashtag Cortana, hashtag awesome.
New tweet.
Well, we were close. I think we have a little more work to do on tuning the speech recognition engine for presentations in front of 5,000 people. So I know that many of you in this audience have existing enterprise apps you've written using Win32 or .NET for the desktop. Well, we intend to provide you a great technology continuum for these apps and this code as well. I'd like to show you just one of the things that we're doing in the Windows 8.1 update to help you reuse more of your existing code. Let me invite Harry Pearson on stage to show it off.
Thanks, David. As you might imagine, we spend a lot of time talking to enterprises. And one thing we hear from them very consistently is this pressure they're under to mobilize their workforce, to unchain their information workers from their desks and get them out to where the action is. Windows tablets are a great way to do that. However, it turns out the typical enterprise has a significant investment in custom applications that they use to run their business. I know not everybody in this room does enterprise app development, but I'm sure you would all recognize, can we get this on the screen, please? A sort of canonical data access line of business application. This is the order processing application for the Northwind Traders Company. Yes, I said Northwind. Older members of the Microsoft community will probably recognize that name. I figured that since we're talking about leveraging existing code, I should leverage an existing sample database. Now, the great thing about Windows tablets is that they run Windows. I can take this application. This is a C# Windows Form ADO old school data reader application sitting on top of SQL Compact. It's sitting on top of SQL Compact because this is an application that the salespeople use.
think as the screens get smaller and the devices get smaller, the cloud gets bigger. And we're going to make some incredibly new things possible. And last but not least, we believe in all of you. We believe in our OEMs and device diversity. We believe in our developers, and the best has yet to come. And we're here to help you guys do it. So, thank you. So with that, let me introduce our next speaker. His company has created over 80% of the Windows phones that are being used by all of you. When we finish the acquisition of the Nokia Devices Group, we'll be able to invest even more in his team and their ability to drive Windows Phone success. So please join me in welcoming Stephen Elop.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pretty tough act to follow free Xbox, $500 and so forth, but I'm really excited to be here to share some of our own news. It is very much a really exciting time for us at this point in time. In just hopefully a few days or weeks, those of us at Nokia will be joining the Microsoft team. The possibilities as we unite are endless. We are very focused on sparking more opportunities for developers like all of you. Together, we can bring people an amazing family of devices, of services, of applications, many of which you saw hinted at here today. Now, in the context of today's announcements, that spark is somewhat lit by Windows Phone 8.1. Joe Belfiore did a great job of demonstrating some things that we're very excited about. And of course, the Nokia Lumia devices are the absolute best way to light up that Windows Phone 8.1 experience. Now, the first thing that I'm very pleased to announce is that the Lumia device that you probably have in your pocket right now gets better with Windows Phone 8.1. We will bring Windows Phone 8.1 to all Lumia Windows Phone 8 devices offered in an over-the-air update coming this summer. That means people like you will immediately get access to that and have that on all of the existing devices, and your customers will have that as well. So let me just show you what that means. I'm going to invite Karan Nagam to come on stage to help me with a bit of demos here. He has a Lumia 520 in his hand running Windows Phone 8.1, which is just amazing. Think about this for a second. In its price band, the Lumia 520 is the best-selling smartphone in the world, bar none, compared to anything from Android. It's a fantastic device. But here's the thing. Go check out your low-priced Android devices and see if they're getting the latest innovation that's coming out of Google. And the answer, of course, is no. So we're very, very proud to be able to take that innovation for those price points. Now, it's also the case you would expect this type of capability to come on the higher-end devices. For example, here I have a Lumia 1520 fully loaded with Windows Phone 8.1. And in case you didn't notice,